Alright everyone, I don't like how this came out. I was rushing it last night. I'm going to paint it over. Okay? I'm going to do one a little bit slower so it's not so rushed and looks better. It's okay to do it because of the way the nature of this. So I thought I would do something on camera that I didn't do last night because I've been in such a hurry on this one. Right here is the vinyl. Okay? What you gotta, if you get a vinyl cutter, you're gonna go through a lot of this on your own. First thing you gotta do is remove the part that you're not gonna use. This is what I want it to look like, so I removed this. Then you get yourself some transfer film and you put it over the top. Now, I've used this sheet of transfer film once. It's okay if I do that. It really is. Okay? Now I'm going to cut this down because I don't need this piece of vinyl this large. Now, the problem with using previously used transfer film is it's not quite as sticky. Then you peel the backing off the vinyl. Oh boy. See, it not being as sticky can cause trouble. Now this is the sticky side of the vinyl. Alright? I'm going to put this design on this side here. And I need to center this. Now this is a different kind of design. I just put a vinyl side down and that is no bueno. Now this is a different kind of design. When I did the Cylon helmets, it was a lot easier to do because you could see through it. I'm going to look at it and see if it's straight. If it's not straight, I got to peel the whole thing off and go cut another one. But that looks like that's straight. Actually, I have one spare. Then I can peel the vinyl, the transfer film off the vinyl. And press the vinyl down a little bit so it stays put. Okay, because you don't want the vinyl pulling up like it is on me. Now I didn't clean this up completely, and you can see part of the vinyl is staying put. So I'm going to take some tweezers and clean that some. There they are. Like pull this piece off, and that piece makes a much sharper design. And you can see I got some extra edging on here. And that didn't pull up completely, you can tell. And by the way, if you think vinyl cutters are expensive, they're not. There's a couple of different brands. There's a Circuit, which you can get at Hobby Lobby and some of the other big box stores. I'd stay away from them. The reason I would stay away from them is that they require you to use a cartridge to print shapes with, and you have to buy the cartridges. That way they have you buying stuff from them constantly. I got a Silhouette. It was a little bit more expensive than a Circuit, but I can import almost any photo to it and it'll turn it into a paint mask. So I can do my vinyl cutting myself. There we go. I'm going to spray paint. Oh, I did that backwards. Okay. Well, I just learned something today. That's backwards. The shape I wanted to keep is over there. I'll peel all this off. I'll be back in a little bit. Hello everyone. Yes, we got a TIE fighter in front of me. And yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. She has her wings. And yes, I have not been doing my updates like I should. I just got in a hurry and started working. Now, one thing here. When you go to put the wings on this, you have to be really careful. Reason being, cat hair, they're everywhere on all my models. At least that one's not under the paint. You have to be really careful when you put the wings on because they won't go on straight. So what I did is I took what is called, well, not a square, it's for drafting. It's a triangle, 45, 45, 90 triangle. And I just put it up against the TIE fighter like this, making sure the wings are square. And I'd let it sit for a few minutes, come back and check, let it sit for a few minutes, come back and check. The wings are square on it. Second, I said I would put this on camera and I didn't because I've been in a hurry and I've been sick. I glued the little photo etch parts on the underside. Now I made a big mistake here. I didn't paint the underside properly. It'll focus in a minute. Now how do I glue those on? Microcrystal clear. It glues things onto plastic, clear plastic, really well. I just put a very little of it on the back and then just stuck them in place. As long as you don't move them around, you won't leave any smear marks or anything. So the top hatch is done. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to glue it in. If I glue it in, you'll never see the interior of this thing. It just won't happen. So I'm thinking I might not glue that on. I might make it where I can remove it. Okay? And one last thing, my masking job was not 100% perfect here. I have a little bit of a lip right here where the masking failed. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and paint it. Now, what am I painting with? Tamiya paints. And more than one of you have told me you don't like painting, brush painting with Tamiya paints. But you notice it's working just fine. Isn't it? Because if you're careful, you can brush paint with Tamiya paints. And it comes out just fine. You see that, BB?
Yeah. The white spot disappeared.
Yep, and if I let that sit, it'll dry up just fine. You can brush paint with Tamiya paint. You really can. Okay? You just got to be careful with it and know what you're doing with it. Alright, so the only thing left on the TIE fighter is the stand, which I barely had started on, the top hatch, and the front windshield. Now the front windshield stays on there fairly well all on its own. It isn't keyed to any particular orientation, so I can just stick it on there like that and it stays. Okay? So there you guys go. There's a look at it. Now she came out darker than I'd like. One, the lighting's pretty dark in here. If I take this outside in the daylight, this is a very bluish gray. But since we're inside under fluorescent lights, it's kind of a dark gray. We're not color adjusted right. Okay? But you can see the TIE fighter sitting here. I'm going to let that paint cure up on the top. And then I'm going to start working on the stand, and this is done. Alright everyone. Yeah, ignore the phone ringing in the background. I have the stand for the TIE fighter done. If I turn the switch on, you can see it lights up. Okay? And TIE fighter sits on there. One thing I didn't do correctly is this rod is not perfectly vertical, and it makes the TIE fighter look a little wonky. I'm going to bend it around until I get it there. But I like how this base came out, and I like how that lights up. It's a little sourcey in person. If I were to turn the overhead light off, you'd see that there are 4 lights lighting it up. I think it looks pretty good. And it opens up like this, and you can change the batteries, and you can see the lights inside there. I made a separate panel in there. I didn't really show you guys what I was doing on this, and that was kind of bad on my part. I will admit that. Okay. There's 4 LEDs ringing this. They're warm white LEDs. I got to clean the dust off of it. Okay. There's 4 warm white LEDs ringing it. Ooh, and it got a little bit scratched, which surprises me considering the clear coat I put on this. I know how to smooth out the scratches though. Anyhow, 4 LEDs ringing around it. It's got 2 AA batteries powering it. This is a jack that fits in, a plug that fits in the jack on the base of the TIE Fighter. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and open it up. The cable's long enough that I can just completely separate this. I did that on purpose. You can see the epoxy I used to epoxy the brass rod in there. I put a piece of wood in there to support the brass rod so that it doesn't move around on me. And that's part of where the problem came in. I didn't check this brass rod before I glued it in, and as it was gluing up, it cured up a little wonk. Here, you can see I put a piece of plastic behind the LEDs, and it's got some aluminum foil tape behind it so that we have some lighting effects. And again, I'll get the brass rod bent up right so it all works right. The case fits together really well. This case, just in case you're wondering where it came from, this plastic box is a baseball display case. Okay? And again, I think it looks good. This thing's going to sit in on 2 AA batteries with the 4 8 LEDs in this thing. It'll last for a week if I just leave it on. So that's why I did that. And again, I really do like this base. All right, everyone. I will be back to show you the final video on the TIE Fighter. And the Cylon Raider is almost done. I have a problem with its base, a tiny problem to fix, and some weathering, and that's it. Everything's done. It is 7 p.m. I have 5 hours till contest due date, and I only have weathering left on the Cylon. For once, I'm ahead of the game and not doing things at the very last minute, and that is a good feeling. All right, everyone, back in a little while.